Hello everyone, welcome. This is the August 18th, 2021 episode of Star Wars CCG Holotheatre. We are not Dan. Unfortunately, Dan can't make this week, so we got the junior varsity team in here. So myself, Jared Napolitano, the marketing advocate. We have, from at least the way it looks to me, the clockwise top left, we have Chris Kelly, design advocate. Adam Fletcher, Echo-based trooper. Siri, proofer, slicer, you name it. And we have Holotheatre hero, Justin Miyashiro. Welcome. All right, so hey guys. All right, so I'm just going to give a quick disclaimer right off the bat. It might not be as smooth as normal episodes. Like, Dan's a wizard with a lot of these graphics, so hopefully we have minor hiccups and no drops. But we have an exciting show tonight. We're going to talk a good amount about communing, which is one of the main themes of Virtual Set 16 to debut sometime next couple of weeks, probably. So we'll talk a lot about that. We'll talk about what's going on in the Star Wars CCG universe, and then we'll do some of the usual segments like Lore Challenge and Swing and a Miss. So hopefully we're all ready to go. All right, so we'll get started. So I'll kick off the communing section real quick. So I think some of the good context here is communing is light side mains a lot, but it's thematic. At least that's my impression being on the playtesting team and testing with it a little bit. So one of the cool stats that I got from Adam ahead of time, I asked him, hey, can you let me know what light side mains are like right now? And they're not doing too hot. So if you guys can see this, Chief Trooper's Hut, Let the Wookiee Win, and Hitco, and Home Run War Room, they're winning about a third of their games in the August OCS, about 30% win rate. They're underperforming relative to player skill. So I think in that context, hopefully we get some boost here and things start turning around. So I will start real quick and then I'll stop blabbing. Let me just do a couple spoilers. And these will all be posted, pretty shortly after the show, maybe not immediately, but everyone will have the text. So here we go. We'll start with communing. And it's going to be a Wise Advice undercard. So you deploy on table at the start. You may not deploy Jedi with communing and game text. And then you can go a couple different options, or a couple different steps here. One with the Force. The Jedi is about to be lost or placed out of play from table. May stack that card here. Jedi stacked here are communing, considered out of play. Force generation +1 for each Jedi Master communing. Cosmic Force once per turn. You may peek at top cards of your Force pile or Lost pile, or X number of your Jedi communing. You may move one of those cards to the bottom of the pile. So there's deck manipulation there. We have the starting interrupt here, more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Your starting location had communing and game text, and we'll get into those starting locations. Deploy communing, so the epic event we just talked about. Stack a Jedi with communing and game text here. Deploy up to 3 effects always on table, or deploy on table always immune to alter, place interrupt, lost pile. All right, so that's me blabbing. Again, don't get too bogged down with the text. We will have plenty of time. People have plenty of time to digest them ahead of the new set. Let me pull us back here. So let me hide this. All right, so now that I'm a little intro here, let me start with Chris. So can you give us a little background on the origins of this pod? Because this is a design pod, and maybe if you have any recollections of legacy communing, and/or sum it up in a couple sentences.
Sure, yeah. I do remember legacy communing. I thought it was fun. Obviously, the Chewie version was the most prevalent, but there were some other good versions of it. And I'll agree with you. It is light side mains, but I think it's cool because it's a different take on light side mains. It's kind of like Prophet's light side mains, but it doesn't play in the same traditional way. And hopefully communing will be that way as well. Give players a new experience and also some nostalgia to those that enjoy the legacy version, and those that didn't. I think the pod made some great tweaks to make it new and fresh. We'll see some upcoming things in this show that are totally new to the communing theme, and even reading the communing epic event just now, there's probably some things that are familiar to it. But as far as the origins of the pod, I'm sure everyone knows by now, design made a big initiative to get more people involved into it. So we created the pod system. The first product of that was Rescue the Princess. That was with the player card developers. They kind of had a head start. They were already familiar with the design process. This one, I put the call out, and I got 2 great talents. Great volunteers who have worked behind the scenes, in play testing, proofing, and game slicing, and all of that. Very qualified people that know the process, and they put out a great product. And I don't want to speak for them, but I'm actually really excited for you guys to see what they did.
Yeah. So with that, let me just then, we'll kind of go back and forth with the spoiler and the discussion. So I'm just going to show the first one, Master Kenobi, and then I'll toss it to Adam and Justin to discuss them a little bit more. So let me, first I should get this communing background up, and now we'll get our spoilers back. And we'll talk about Master Kenobi. And actually, let me, God, wise advice over here. All right. Okay, so Master Kenobi, hopefully you guys can see this pretty well. He is going to be Obi-Wan's apparition as the undercard, power 5, ability 6, but Destiny 1, those probably don't come into play too much. Text, while communing, you may not deploy Jedi except Yoda or EPP cards. If a rebel is in battle, may use 1 force to add 3 to your total power. 5 if Luke, once per turn, may deploy a battleground from reserve that is related to a location on table. And then the starting location you would use with this in line with the communing epic event, 2-0. Tatooine planet site, exterior, if Obi-Wan communing, once per turn, may subtract 2 from a just drawn EPP weapon destiny. And then while Obi-Wan communing here, no force drains here, so it's not a liability then. So that's Master Kenobi. I'm going to start Obi-Wan's hut. Let me audible here, and let me throw it to Adam first. So you actually coded Legacy Communing in GEMP. And I know we've talked about this a little bit, that actually helped you get a head start on coding for Open. So let me just ask you to talk a little about that coding, and then maybe what is your favorite communer, and what do you think is the strongest one?
Yeah, so even before we started doing like the communing pod, even before I knew that the pod would be a thing, like I had already started coding communing for Legacy. Like I started at the end of January. Like I was working on tractor beams, but at the time I was waiting for the rules team to answer some questions. So I was like, I don't know. I want something else that's like some crazy challenge. So I'm going to try Legacy. So I decided on 2 decks. I decided on Communing and Slavers. So I did that. And like the hardest thing was definitely making Master Kenobi work while he was stacked. Because normally when GEMP like figures out what actions you can do or where modifiers come from, it doesn't check stacked cards because that doesn't make sense. So I had to completely change how it looks around the table to find what it can do. So if I hadn't done that first, then coding it for playtesting would have taken a really long time. Like it took me like 2 weeks to figure out exactly what I needed to do for Legacy. But then once the cards were ready for playtesting, it took me like 2 days or something to code everything because I already knew how everything was supposed to work. So that worked out really well. That I had already started working on Communing before this was even going to be a thing.
Yeah, and Chris, and this is probably a process that started. It's not like this all just came about as Lightside mains kind of deteriorated a little bit. So this was in the works for a while. So that's interesting to see how things all come together. But one real quick point of clarification, and then I'll throw it to Justin. But this is pretty neat, though, that we've had a set that came out at the end of March, one that came out end of June, and then we're probably going to presumably have one pretty quickly. So I know a lot of people have voiced, hey, more sets, maybe smaller sets, release more frequently. So it is interesting seeing that kind of take form, and I know that, as Chris talked about, the design pod structure is pretty neat for that. So Justin, maybe just curious on your experience with the pod. I know we, like Chris said, there was the Rescue the Princess pod. You and Adam and working with design on, hashing this out and, fine tuning everything and hearing playtestings, feedback. Maybe you talk a little about your experience with the pod, and again, what do you think is your favorite communer, and what do you think is the strongest?
Sure. So I was really interested in the design process from pretty much when it was announced, and I just looked back. Chris had actually started the community pod with me and Adam back at the beginning of March. So nice. It's been kind of a long. It's felt like quite an extended process that we've been working on this and kicking it back and forth, we had a bunch of ideas come out really quickly. I know one thing, because I didn't play Legacy at all, so I'm not at all familiar with how the Legacy community played or the mechanics of it. But I know one thing is we wanted to get away from the epic event instead of starting interrupt thing that the original community did. But that was fine because that naturally led us to immediately just, we'll do a starting interrupt that deploys communing. And then from there, we kind of built upon a number of ideas. One thing that I was really interested in doing with it was trying to create a new a different activation platform, but also to not lean super heavily on like non-location activation. And so the Master Obi-Wan that you spoiled there is an example of that, of trying to find ways to let you use the Communing Jedi as like a starting point, as a platform for running a deck, but to do it in a way that's kind of that's different from other things that we've had. So like, you know, we have Yarnadel Gargan, we have the Shield is Down, you know, we have things like old allies that can pull locations related to a particular planet. So we wanted to, I wanted to get away from that as much as we could with the Communing Jedi and try to do something different. So the Master Obi-Wan is a good example of that, where he's certainly going to lean you towards building around a single planet because you pull locations related to something that's already on the table. And with this one, leans towards Tatooine because you have to start the Obi-Wan HUD for the which is a Tatooine location. But it's not guaranteed that you have to do that. You can certainly, like we had a number of iterations go through playtesting, but like I had a Master Kenobi that was built around Jakku. We've had, you know, you can do a number of different things with it, with pulling related locations. And so we kind of tried to go in different directions with that. And it's sort of the same thing that Chris was saying. I tried to do a mains platform that gives you a different feel than like a typical mains platform would be. I certainly didn't want all of the decks to just be, you know, 4 Whis and 3 Speaks and gonna do that thing every time. Yeah. And I do feel like the way that they've all come out, the decks are not all gonna be that. In fact, I would say probably most of them won't be. I would say probably most of them won't be that. As far as the strongest or my most favorite communer, amusingly, the one that's been spoiled so far, the Master Kenobi, is neither of those to me. I actually quite like the other 2 that we have. We're going to spoil them within minutes here. So I have played a lot with the Communing Qui-Gon. I like the Communing Qui-Gon cut a lot, but I think the strongest one might be Master Yoda. Okay.
Well, that's a perfect
Master
segue.
Yoda, yeah. You can, I guess, if you want to put it on the screen, I can kind of talk about why.
Yeah. Here. So this is. Let me just hide us so we're not blocking it. So let me scroll down. And as just a quick plug, hopefully you guys saw the banners getting updated that Ming and the graphics team put together for like Facebook and Twitter, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Yoda are all in there. So a little bit of a preview for this. So yeah, Justin, do you want to read or do you want me to read? Can you see it? Okay.
Yeah, I can see it. Master Yoda is backed on the Way of Things. That's news to me. I'm glad I have an extra copy of that. While communing, you may not deploy Jedi Knights or maintenance cards. Dagobah Luke, so son of Skywalker, is deploy -1 and power and defense value +1. And then once per turn, you may deploy from reserve deck a battleground with 2 dark side icons. And once per game, you can retrieve a force. And then he has some deploy and forfeit numbers that don't matter. And Dagobah Yoda's Hut is his communing location. Yoda's Hut V says, if Yoda here or set 16 Yoda communing, once per turn may subtract 2 from attrition against you, so it works like the non-V1 but with communing. And then the dark side text is, if Yoda here or set 16 Yoda communing, broken concentration is cancelled. So kind of a sideways helper for Mind, which we've learned a little bit. There's not really much reason to play the non-V1 in Mind, which we've learned. But kind of the main thing here is the Yoda to me. Deploying battlegrounds with 2 dark side icons is pretty exciting. There's a lot of different locations that you can get there. And ones, I think, also notably ones that don't generally see a lot of play. You know, we've had a lot of playtesting decks that ran with Camino and the Camino locations. The Nabuthi Palace Generator is a big one that sees a lot of play in this. And one, you could probably scroll a little further down, one that would have seen a lot of play if we hadn't already done it in playtesting and realized that we shouldn't do this, is the Endor system with starting strike planning. There is a new shield as well, which I'm sure is everyone's favorite thing. Crossfire V has, I believe, all of the same text as the regular Crossfire defensive shield, with the addition of your force generation and opponent's Endor system may not be cancelled unless opponent's Endor objective on table.
I guess that'll technically be an errata, right?
Yes, that's an errata rather than a new shield, I guess. But yeah, so no longer will you be able to use the Endor system as a 2-0 drain 2 for light side with strike planning, which it frequently is, and is probably not really the intention of strike planning. But yeah, and also you'll notice the Yoda limitation there. Similar to Master Kenobi, this is another thing that we were looking at with the design pod, was trying to create different looks of decks, because I think we would all be fairly disappointed if all the commuting decks just used the same character base and just chose a different location in Communing Jedi. So all of them also have character restrictions, which I think is actually a great way to make the decks not just the TRM good card suit.
Yeah.
So this one, for instance, says no permanent, no maintenance cards. But also no Jedi Knights. So notably, that means no Luke Skywalker Rebel Scout V, no Ahsoka, no EPP Obi-Wan. You can still play, no Screaming Lando for the maintenance cards. Now you can still play actually quite good characters in this. You can still play EPP Rey. You can still play Serena Qui-Gon. Every version of Leia, every version of Han. Like, there's still a lot of accessibility there, but that limitation of no Jedi Knights kind of forces you to build it differently than you otherwise would, which I really like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, great stuff. So let me just go back around the horn then to Adam. I guess, I don't know if you want to maybe touch upon Yoda a little bit, or maybe talk a little bit about kind of the iterative process of, playtesting and coding and tweaking these things, because you have a unique perspective being on proofing, being a jump slicer, being in this design pod obviously, and kind of seeing the different feedback and tweaking it. Just any things that stand out to you about kind of that process of, this is too strong, this is too weak, let's take this up, let's take this down, that type of stuff.
Yeah, so I've been heavily involved in the process right after cards go to playtesting. I've been heavily involved in that for a while, and so it was really interesting being on both sides of it now. So there would be some small changes that we would make that before they even made it to where the rest of the slicers or proofing would know about it. I was already working on coding the changes, because I also have a unique perspective from other people that are designing cards. I know what's easy to code in GEMP, so if people suggested stuff that wasn't easy, I would try to steer them away from those so that I could actually code it.
That's funny.
But so we went through tons of changes. There were pretty frequent updates. For a long time, Yoda was the only one that people tried in playtesting because he was just so obviously better than everyone else, because his character restrictions weren't very strong. But there are a few things that the general feel of each of them or at least of Yoda and Qui-Gon, has stayed the same from the beginning. Obi-Wan has definitely changed. The main bonus of each of them, Obi-Wan is the only one that's really changed in a big way. But the rest of them, we went through a bunch of iterations on different things. Initially, we let you start any location that had 2 light side icons, and then eventually we decided, maybe that's a little too open-ended, so we'll force you to start their specific location. So then we made those locations.
Okay, so yeah, that's great stuff. So now I'll just show Qui-Gon, and then I'll toss it to Chris, because I think the consensus from playtesting, if I'm not mistaken, is that he's the strongest. Let me make this a little smaller. I'll scroll down. And then I know there's one.
Just as you're doing that, it's funny to me that you say that, because that's only been the consensus for a week and a half.
Yeah, I'm not the most active playtester. But yeah, so we have, hopefully everyone can see, so we have Master Qui-Gon Jinn, an old friend. Either way, you win. Obviously these stats, it's Destiny 1, Power 6, 7, they don't really plan them to play. Display 7, forfeit 8. Play 7, forfeit 8, but the meat is the game tech. So while communing, you may have to play Rebels. Your total power in battles is +1 for each Jedi communing. Jedi Council members are Destiny +1. which I really like. Once per turn, may place a card from hand on use pile, draw a top card of force pile. So that's sort of like 3PO, but not exactly. And then his location is Coruscant Jedi Temple Meditation Room. 2/0, if Qui-Gon Communing, may deploy the Thee Palace Generator. It's a pretty sweet site. That's the 2/2 or the 3/2?
That's the 2/2.
2/2. And then while Qui-Gon Communing, no force drain. So it's not a liability. Interior planets at 16. So one question I want to ask Chris, because I know he's talked about this in a couple different cases, but they don't all have to be super strong and super equal right off the bat. It allows you, I think the phrase you use a lot is like design space, kind of take things up, take things down as they go about. I guess just you have any kind of thoughts off the top of your head about that process of what one do you see progressing, or what type of things maybe are you? I'll let you go. Go ahead.
I think actually what you guys are talking about the past few minutes is perfect, because I kind of love that talk. Like you were saying, Qui-Gon, everyone thought was the most powerful, and Justin pointed out that's only recently. I love, and I think that Adam and Justin did a great job with this pod. Each one of the Jedi has their own strength. It's the same deck. It's Communing, right? Each one gives a totally different feel. The three of us could all think a different one is more powerful and be right, because they have such different attributes. And I can say in playtesting, the strongest ghost has gone back and forth between a few people. I will disagree a little bit. I personally don't think Yoda is the strongest right now. I think first and foremost, his character restriction of no Jedi Knights is so creative and so unique, because you can still get the ability 5 people, you can still get the ability 7 people, and that's never really been done before. So that I'm really excited about. I think Yoda will get better when there's a slightly better ability 5 person coming out, but right now I think Yoda is probably the weakest, which is cool, because in playtesting, as Adam said, Yoda was by far the strongest. People were just dropping Jedi Knight Lukes, being immune to attrition less than 40, and it was kind of out of hand. So I think the pod did a great job of drawing it back and making it mains, but a different feel. I also want to kind of steal some more time and say Adam has totally undersold himself in what he did as far as the time for coding. This whole new process of pods and playtesting has accelerated everything. Adam has been a champ at coding stuff, at proofing stuff, at moving stuff. As an example, today, and he better not deny this because it's a true story, Design just tweaked, I think, about 5 cards coming from the set. I was at work, I was busy, I'm trying to do the design thing. I just posted in Slack, hey, these are the changes. Adam, without hesitation, posted them all, tweaked them all, and I'm sure he's probably coded them all. So that's just like an example of how now we're trying to work more closely with all the team leads, especially with people being GEMP slicers, being able to give us feedback right away. Hey, we can't code this. So don't sell yourself short, Adam. Like today's perfect example of how integral you are to the process. And just as far as crossfires, we want to talk about that as well. That's been something I've wanted to do for a very, very long time. Communing was a great excuse to finally do it. I think I've said before, in my opinion, bringing before me is the biggest design constraint that we have, because every deck needs a Luke or an excuse to not have a Luke. And that's followed closely by strike planning, because every time we do something with Battlegrounds, we have to say, except Endor system. And that's just, it's too, oppressive to have to fit that on all these cards. So I'm thrilled about that shield. I think that'll free up some space, and that'll leave Court as the third worst design constraint.
You hear that, Joker King? So, okay.
If I could echo that real quick, I was just looking at the numbers here. Our communing design pod thread has 250 replies in it.
Wow.
So we went through a lot of different iteration there, and to kind of echo also what Chris was saying, I just looked at it real quick too. Looks like there were 14 playtesting updates on the playtesting master list for this set since the 4th of July. So
wow.
That's a lot of really quick turnaround, and I think particularly too it helps a lot with our ability to iterate that much, because we would talk about, oh, let's make this tweak to Qui-Gon, let's make this tweak to Obi-Wan, and we'd reach a decision on it, and then it'd be available to playtest like the day after, like. So just so fast that the playtesters could jump on it right away, and we could get immediate feedback on it, which helps so much to actually be able to do this iteration so much, and be able to tweak these cards enough to where we feel like they're in a powerful and fun but not too good state. So yeah, I think kudos very much to Adam for sure.
Yeah, I'll just jump into it. This theme is really neat too from a marketing perspective too, because I mean, right off the bat, it jumps out to me we might get some oversized cards since these guys are starting outside of your deck, and I think there's a lot of neat things we can do with them. So, you know, I'm going to say they're going to be involved with World's Prize support in some form or fashion, and some other really neat things. And with that, I'll just remind everybody again. So the full texty spoilers, I don't know, they're probably not going to get posted tonight. Maybe I'll post them tomorrow in the spoiler thread that's been getting accumulated for 16. So let me give a quick plug to that, and then I'll wrap up real quick on communing. Let's see. So hopefully you guys can see. All right, so we have this spoiler thread. This is stickied in general discussion on the forums. So, you know, follow PC and all the social media, and we're starting to accumulate these. We got Naboo V, Chewbacca, Tarful. I actually think I added one from earlier today on here as well. But keep checking in on this. Keep following the PC. Yeah, there's Scarif Darkside. And all, it looks like there's going to be 8 of these cards, or maybe 7, between with Crossfire. So they'll get updated there. And then let me just wrap up too. So I'll throw it to Chris first, and then if Justin or Adam have any final parting shots on communing, let's see. What do you see as like the future of communing, Chris? Like, are there going to be more Jedi Knights? Are there going to be, like, is Mace going to commune? You know, Anakin, like the movies?
Yeah, so there's at least 3 more communers that can be made. Anakin, Luke, and Leia. They're all in the movies. So what's the future? It's pretty cool. Like I was saying earlier, it's the same communing deck, but each one is so different because of the ghosts. And even if we don't make more ghosts, we could still do things like a Run Luke Run V. If Obi-Wan's communing, something cool happens. You know, some Qui-Gon quotes when he's communing. So there's plenty more to build upon. You know, if for whatever reason we didn't hit where we needed to hit on one of the ghosts, we can build support for it very easily. We don't need a starting effect to say, if Qui-Gon communing, do this. There's a lot of design space for it. You know, you can make the ghost Anakin, you can make the ghost Luke. So I'm really excited. These guys did a fantastic job in basically making it fresh, but also feel like we remember it.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? I guess Adam, and then we'll go to Justin.
Yeah, just kind of what they both said, that each of them feeling so different, I think is like something I was trying to do at the very beginning also. Just like, it's all communing, but they feel so different from each other because of the character restrictions, the different bonuses, and the different, like, how they get their activation, like pulling different kinds of locations. And I think that's really fun, where they just all feel so different from each other. And even two decks that stack the same ghost, you could build them completely different. Like Yoda, the attrition -2 is really good in space. Like you have ships that are all immune, then you protect everybody on it. But a bunch of the playtesting has focused on just like mains on the ground. Like, both of those use Yoda, and they still feel super different from each other. So I really like what we ended up with.
Yeah, and I think I'm really excited to try to get these decks, get these cards into the wild, and see what other people can come up with. Yeah, I think it's great that we have like what ultimately feels like a pretty small theme. Like, this is like an 8-card package at a design that I think can spawn a lot of different decks. So I think there's a lot of potential in it. I think it's a lot of fun to play with. I'm excited to do that. And I guess I'm not on another design pod or anything, so this is just total speculation. This is not a spoiler, but one thing that I was really wanting, and one thing that I really liked about doing the Epic event with the starting interrupt, is that it would enable like a Rey-centric Episode 9 objective to have like deploy starting locations and deploy communing, and let you do that. So
Yeah.
if you want to put me in another design pod, Chris, so I can work on that card, I'm happy to do that.
Chris is biting his tongue right now, I could say. All right.
Yeah, so future commuting, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I hope we see a lot of it at Worlds, which might be actually we'll segue into that a little bit. But yeah, so that's communing. Some really good discussion there. Again, the spoilers will go up, and we're on schedule here. So let's segue into kind of our middle section here, which is kind of what's going on in the world of Star Wars CCG. So let's take Yoda away. And we'll keep us here. Let me get rid of the background here. Again, this is some of the stuff I asked you guys to bear with me.
You have the Yoda graphic up there?
Yeah, he was up there for a while.
Yeah, shout out to graphics.
Yeah.
I don't know which images have been spoiled, but the community theme is going to play well, and it's going to look well too. You guys are in for a real treat. Everyone's done a great job with this.
So let me shrink us down. So one thing I want to plug, all of the Jedi. So this is a sealed format, which Adam coded, and this has been really popular. I've been playing a lot of games. People have been playing a lot of games. I encourage everyone of any skill level, of any familiarity with virtual cards, decipher cards. There's some really cool stuff going on with this format. You basically get 2 of each pack, which is along the top here. Hopefully everyone can see the graphic. And you basically build a sealed deck of 40 cards. And it's really neat. And I see people of all different levels. I think Brad Kipple's like 18-0. But seeing a lot of fresh faces in that format. So I encourage everyone to try it. It's pretty simple. There's an article at the top of JEMP. Thanks, Adam, for promoting that. So check that article out. Not everyone sees the message of the day, but I encourage everyone to check that out. Play this format. There's some prize support on the line. Top 8. We'll get 2 of these cool AI packs that you see in the middle, which Chris Menzel and Scott and Adam got operational, and you can see the AIs to the right there. Chris, those are pretty sweet, right? Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting some of these, and everyone who plays, I think it was like 16 games over the course of like 17 days, and these games are quick, which is kind of neat. And I, as a teaser, I might actually use this format as a way, because I know a lot of people have mentioned like there's no like how to play this game videos, because it's tough because it's so complicated. But I actually think it might be a good platform to just kind of talk through casually. So look out for that maybe the next couple weeks, and I think it's pretty neat. So encourage this format. People got these AI packs as well recently for a couple events, and they'll keep rolling out. So that's all of the Jedi. Have you guys had a chance to play any of it as we transition here?
I made it, but I don't
barely have time to get my OCS games in, unfortunately, right now with 16 getting ready to be out the door. So I've had a few quick 2-turn OCS games where I just GG and do my foils. With all of the Jedi, do you keep the AIs? Can you use them in your other decks?
Well, no, the AIs are good to your my cards. So yeah, you would keep the prize support that you get.
Okay, cool.
You can't foil them though.
Well, tell me what I can't do.
So I just real quick want to show this graphic, because I was looking at the games played data, and I think all the Jedi is kind of inflating the numbers a little bit because they're quicker games. And yeah, just want to thank the community, thank Troy, thank Adam and Jeremy and the Slicers, and Jump is awesome. But it looks like we're on track to break 70,000 games for 2021, which is pretty cool. So I like this graph. I know a couple people mentioned they like seeing this, so I'm curious. And we're going to end up around 300,000 games, I think, before 2022 hits. So that's awesome, and a testament to the community and to just so many different people. All right, so let's talk about Worlds. Justin, are you excited for Worlds?
I am. I bought my entry last weekend. I'm going to be getting my hotel and flights and stuff this weekend, I think. Nice. So, yeah, I'm excited to play another live major. Hopefully do better than the last one.
Yep. Yeah. In Denver. Yep. That was on your home field advantage.
Yeah, you would think that, but no, it didn't work out that way. I mean, I don't know. 4-4 is fine. Also, in the random drawing, I got an AI Queen Amidala, so I feel like the winner there.
Nice.
Card I'm certainly never going to purchase otherwise. So.
Yeah. So the theme of Worlds, as was teased, is going to be the Grand Inquisitor. This was Chris Menzel, who's the prize support lead. So there's going to be lots of prize support around that. So I know Chris Gogolin talked a bunch about Worlds on his stream the other night, so I recommend everyone to watch that. He has a playlist on the PC channel, so check out his stream, which is pretty neat. Did all the cool stuff that he does about reviewing games. Let me make this a little bigger just real quick. So, we'll have 4 events. We're going to have the throwback event on Friday, team event Friday evening, the main event on Saturday, followed by the top 8 on Sunday, and then the consolation event. Prizes are going to be bigger, better than they were. We've kind of been this weird, or not weird, but we didn't have a normal world last year. Maybe it is a very weird time, obviously. But yeah, so I encourage everyone to sign up. I know Chris Goglin did a drive to give away a Darth Vader and Emperor's Enforcer AI for people that registered. So I think the number's already around low 20s, which is pretty neat for being a little over 7 weeks out. So I'm really looking forward to that. Can't wait for it to happen in DC. It's a nice drive for me personally. So yeah, so that's Worlds. Want to do a quick plug for regionals. We have first one this weekend, and it's going to be in Bespin, which I know is a lot of players. A lot went out to. Sorry, I'm trying to find the schedule here. My right.
So I know the Tatooine one is going to be the 11th of September.
Yep.
In North Glen, Colorado. So if anybody is local to the area, definitely come on out. I think we have 5 pre-registered currently. So.
Yeah. So we have some pretty cool art from Jeffrey Johns down here that's going to be given out. We have BB-8 with the regional championships in the lore. Let me find the schedule here just to do too many graphics, too many images. Regional schedule. Oh, we're covering it. That's where it's at. So yeah, here we go. So Bespin's this, I think that's Sunday? No, maybe that's Saturday. Sam Tashima's organizing that. Then we have Naboo out in the United Kingdom. Paul McPherson's running that. Endor and Yavin 4 the same day on 4th of July weekend, very far apart. One's in Virginia, Maryland with Yavin 4, and Endor's obviously Seattle, Chris Wirfs and Bill Kafer. Tatooine, as Justin talked about, I think Paul Coggins is the TD for that.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to be running the course on one, and I don't know, Chris, you're going to be able to make it. You're in Oklahoma still, right?
What? System is Oklahoma.
Bothawui, maybe? I think. Not sure.
I went to the Nebraska event. Shout out to everyone who made that. That was a good time.
Yeah.
I'm going to count that as my regionals.
There you go. And then Corellia in Ohio. And we had Dagobah down in Atlanta. I know Drew and Kesseling and good crew down there. And then the Netherlands with Ryloth is going to be end of November. So people can play them at the end of the year. I know that Mouse organizing Southern California / Alderaan. So I encourage everyone, hopefully your area, follow all your local guidelines. But yeah, good live events. I'm really looking forward to sleeving some cards up and getting a practice run in ahead of Worlds. So that's regionals. Let's do a quick OCS check-in. Let's see. I got too many.
I'm impressed. I'm 3 games in right now. So.
Yeah, I don't want to do OCS this month. Don't skip the segment.
It's an interesting month, and I was just looking at the data, which of course I got from Adam. It's very lopsided. Light side is not doing too hot. So I think I looked at the numbers. He ran them yesterday through 200 August OCS games. The split is 62-38. Shadow Collective is about a quarter of the field. OA is 1/5 of the light decks. And then Court, Bring and Before Me, Map are all pretty popular, like a second tier of Dark. And then Y4O, a lot of Y4O. And mains, a bunch of different types of mains. But as I teased at the beginning there, they're not all doing too hot. So right now Tom is in pole position here, 10-2. There's a handful of 9 and 3s, including yours truly. But then we have a couple people going on runs down here. Silver Glenn, who's made all 3 OCS top 16s before. Let's see if he can join Bastion and Joe to be the only other people to make every single one. I think Baroni still would be the only other person to possibly do that. So he still has some time. Then we got Wirfs and Adam Trunzo 4-0, and Kevin Shannon, first month in the OCS, I believe, and Bastion at 3-0, but Bastion already qualified. So that'll be interesting. We have, 2 weeks left. See how that all progresses. Then I just realized I was covering it up. So this is some of the technical stuff, although it's pretty small and hard to see. So that is our OCS update. I think I get rid of this regional schedule. There we go. All right, so a real quick update, and then we can do the fun stuff. So prize support update, donations, all those went out. I still have some foils for some people that I'm hoping to get out in the next month, but hopefully everyone got their hardware, including this, which was Ming, this Rogue One poster, which is pretty sweet. Gotta get a frame for that. And I got my Pilsner here that I think Taco Bell might enjoy as well. But yeah, so the program went well. Thanks to everyone for contributing. We did a really good job this year, and we're going to put all that back into cool stuff that the PC can do. And there's going to be plenty of neat stuff, especially with prize support. Want to keep improving that as much as possible. All right, so now, you guys ready for some swing and a miss? All right, so first one. I'll have to find a spot for me. Let's see. First one, swing and a miss, or it's a hit. Shadow Collective will be the most popular dark side at Worlds. We'll start with Justin. What do you think?
So my instinct would be to say miss. The reason, so part of it's a bias reason. Part is because I feel like whatever way you slice your communing deck is like Qui-Gon and Yoda are likely to run Jedi Masters, who are commonly problems for Shadow Collective because they're it's hard to hit a defense. It's not impossible to hit a defense 7, but it's not easy. So I think there's that. I think Shadow Collective is kind of big now after people showed it a little bit at Nats, but I think, and I don't know. I think if it's the most popular, it's still going to be like a very much plurality, like a 12% kind of thing, or like a 12% over like 9, 8, 7%, whatever for the rest of the field. So I would say miss.
Oh, miss.
I would say miss. I would say miss because I don't think it's going to. I think another deck's going to be more popular, but I think if it is the most popular, it's not going to be like a landslide.
Okay. All right. Chris, what do you think?
I think hit. It's one of those rare decks that is very good. Doesn't have terrible matchups, and it's fun. It's fun to have
really
cards
fun
on the table, man.
It's
just
love
a good time. So even though I think its top players are going to want to play it, and I think even scrubs like me are going to want to play it because it's fun.
Adam, what about you?
Yeah, I'll say hit also. Like, it's more than double the next for, like, the next most played deck for this month's OCS. And knowing what's in the next set, all of the dark side stuff, I don't know if anything will really, I don't know. Like, I could see it still being the most popular deck. Like, it also wouldn't surprise me if something else pops up or people, like, figure out, oh, this is how to beat Shadow Collective. Yeah. But at this point, I'll say hit. I think it'll be the most popular.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the game. Everything just keeps adjusting, push-pull, and sometimes people don't want to play the most popular deck because it's going to be the most anticipated. All right,
if Justin Decide doesn't play Shadow Collective for the next month and a half, then I'm doubling down on my miss.
Okay. All right, second one, and I'll just tee this up. I really like all the different Luke personas. I think they all have places in different decks, but you're seeing a lot of Rebellion's Hope now with between Rescue the Princess and Y4O, as I just said, is second most popular light deck. So let's start opposite. We'll start back around the horn. Adam, the most copies of a Luke persona at Worlds will be Luke Skywalker Rebel Scout V.
So you can't play him in any of the Communing decks. So if Communing is popular, then I don't think it's likely that he will be the most popular. But it depends. I don't know. I don't know how popular Communing will be. But I'm going to say swing and a miss. Just because enough other Lukes will be played that, I don't know. I can't think the Jedi Master Luke will be the most played.
Yeah. Chris? Chris, what do you think?
Miss. I think I agree with Adam that if Communing is big, it's going to be Little Luke. I think it's going to be Rebellion's Hope Luke. If RTP, which honestly is not in a bad spot right now, there's a pretty good deck out there. It's going to be Rebellion's Hope Luke. And if Y4O is big, and it's been pretty popular, it's going to be Rebellion's Hope Luke. So I think that'll be number one. But if not, if people want to play Ground Luke, I think now there's enough options between Hitco and Let the Wookiee win, where Jedi Knight Luke might finally make his comeback. So I'll say miss on Rebel Scout Luke.
Okay. And Justin?
I will also say miss. I think Rebel Scout Luke most commonly gets played in multiples in TRM, like in a mains deck that can't play like my father before me, but can also play and wants to play a Jedi Luke.
Mhm.
And TRM kind of feels like the main one of that for me right now.
Mhm.
So I'm with Chris. If someone's playing like my father before me, they're gonna be on like 4 Jedi Lukes and 1 Rebel Scout maybe,
Mhm.
and then like none of the community decks can play it. Diplo would might play Master, might play Rebel Scout. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with Miss. I think there's enough variation in the deck types that are out there right now where one might play a Luke. But I don't think it's guaranteed that Rebel Scout is the correct one. I don't think it's guaranteed that that's the one that people will play. So yeah, I'll go with Miss though.
I like him with Shadow and making them pay for the gun, but of course that's something they can play around. But yeah, all right, good stuff. All right, third and final. Swing and a miss. Let's see, swing number 3. All right, so more than 69 players will attend 2021 Worlds. There were 69 in both 2018 and 2019. And let's start with Justin. What do you think? We're going to over or under? I'll just preface it. It's weird because I could see a lot of people wanting to go because we haven't had a live World in a couple of years, but there's still a lot of pandemic considerations and concerns. So I could see going up for one reason and down for another. We'll see. So Justin, you lead off.
Yeah, I'm going to say miss for actually the same reason that Dorsch is mentioning in the chat, that pandemic concerns in the U.S. are fluctuating right now is what I'll say, but it could certainly impact attendance. But I think kind of the bigger aspect that's going to make it hard to hit that number of players is just that pandemic stuff is going to make it so there's no Europeans at Worlds this year. I think like if there are any, it's going to be very, very few. They probably already have to like be preparing. I don't actually even know what the restrictions are in various European countries, but like missing the Euro guys is going to make it a lot harder to hit that number. So we'll go with miss.
Chris?
I think miss, not because people don't want to be there, but like everyone's saying, things are very uncertain. Things look like they're swinging the way we don't want them to. So I think miss just because of that.
Adam?
Yeah, I'd say miss for the same reasons. Like, it being the first paper Worlds in a couple since we didn't have one last year, would be something that would be really exciting for people to go to, but I think there's still just so much unknown that I don't think as many people will go.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so that's swing and a miss. Let me just do one more plug. I forgot something with prize support. So after Nationals, there were 6, maybe 7 really good tournament reports written. Like Drew and Kessling, and Joe did a video one, and David Woods did one. So those are great to read. Something to reward them and also incentivize future people. I want to give foil Death Troopers out to people, which may or may not be relevant come a set 16 theme, and also blue poker chip. So just a small token of say, hey, thanks for making this content contribution. Thanks for giving stuff for people to read and people to learn. So just a quick plug for that. And honestly, if you want to do one for 12 game OCS month, that's good stuff. I mean, when I was coming back to the game, I really liked reading tournament reports, and I think a lot of us have been around the block and remember those jagteq tournament reports and just kind of learned a lot reading about other people and what they did and what matchups they encountered and how they did. So one more quick plug there for prize support. And then we'll go to our last segment, and we are on a good time schedule. I was afraid I might derail us and we might go over, but this is going to keep Dan and Scott happy. All right, so let me take away swing and a miss. All right, lore challenge. So I think this one is
actually my thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I should also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, very good point. So I don't think this is too tough, but what I'll do is I'll show the lore, let you guys think about it for like 10 seconds or so, and then I'll go around the horn again, and if I'll start. I think I'm going Adam now. Adam, Chris, Justin, and if you get it, it's over. But yeah, then if not,
we don't work as a team.
Or yeah, no, let's do that. Yeah, good call. Talk it out for a little bit, and then come up with the final answer. Yep.
We're like Communing pod brothers.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like female leader go. Like.
All right. So here we go. Lore challenge. Using his position to his advantage, Luke managed to hold off Vader's onslaught, if only for a few seconds.
Is it? I would, and this isn't my guess. We're just talking this out. I would guess it's higher ground, or is it advantage? No, it's not advantage. It's not advantage.
No, higher ground sounds right to me.
Adam?
It's not Courage of a Skywalker.
Yeah. I mean, higher ground like sounds right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. I guess
Well, the image
This is a sneak peek. The reason I know it's not Courage and then I know it's not advantage is because those are cards in another pod.
All those awesome Cloud City images
I've
and
looked at it
cards.
recently.
The art of Cloud City is always the best. But yeah, so I'm not really good at this because that was really easy and you guys got it. So congratulations. We'll get you some Holotheatre swag. I'll talk
now,
to
the
Dan.
funny thing is
Awesome.
that, as I recall the image of higher ground, that's like the time in the fight when Luke doesn't have the higher ground.
Yeah, he's backpedaling.
I don't actually know that Luke ever has the higher ground in that battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he kicks Vader off the stairs.
Yeah, but then he immediately gives it up and goes down to
He's the
meet
scaffolding.
Follows him like a champion would.
He's on like that walkway. See, I like that.
Yeah, the real question is, when are we going to get an Episode 1 Obi-Wan card backed on higher ground? Because they're just...
So, I proposed one recently. I have that, and its mirror is you underestimate my power. And when you pick a site, and if a battle's initiated on that at that site, you get the first weapons phase action.
Oh my god, I love it.
I know, right? I'm a sucker for theme.
I actually almost would have put General Kenobi on higher ground.
All right.
So.
So that's about all I have. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Keep an eye out for more Set 16 spoilers. Thank you guys for joining. Yeah, really exciting time. Lots going on. World's coming up. OCS going on. Set 16 getting pretty close. The graphics are awesome. Playtesting did an incredible job, as Justin talked about. This is really design, proofing. Everyone does such an awesome job with these new sets, and it's really just incredible. And this one's really coming together very, very, very nicely. So look out for that in the coming weeks. That's about all I have. All right. Thanks for everyone.
If you guys haven't seen the Set 16 banner, I know it's on the Facebook group. I'm sure it's in a couple other places as well. It looks so sick.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. It's nice to see what these cards might look like that aren't just like yellow striped through them for playtesting.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Everyone has a good night. Take care, and I'll see you next week.
All right. Yep. Thanks.
Bye.